My name is Jason J. Rock Houston. You guys are listening to an interview being done tonight for Under the Influence. It's my great pleasure to be speaking with guitar player Paul Furlong, and Paul is a guitar player from Fireball, a great Deep Purple tribute band based out of Pheonix, Arizona. Now, before we get started, Paul, I'd like to ask you, is the name of the band Fireball? Because I see in the logo it also says a Deep Purple experience.
I think it's all of that, to be honest with you. The name is actually Fireball, but we go by a Deep Purple experience. It's on all the logos and everything else.
Yeah, okay.
It kind of makes us stand out a little bit if we have a Deep Purple experience there too.
Oh, okay. Now let me ask you. I always love to ask this. Being that the name is Fireball, that's obviously the name of a Deep Purple album. I was curious. Did you like that song in particular, or was that your favorite Deep Purple album, or talk a little bit about how you came to name it, after that song and that album.
Well, it's one of my favorite albums, and everyone kind of goes back to Machine Head, and everybody loves Perfect Strangers. That kind of reignited the whole Deep Purple thing.
Yeah.
Fireball was it's Ian Gillan's favorite album too. So me and Ian seem to like that album. It brings a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of blues, a lot of funk on that album, some rock, some country. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of different stuff going on that album. And
it's kind of interesting because, Paul, like you said, that I feel is one of the more underrated albums. Like you said, a lot of people they point to Machine Head or even in Rock or Burn. Being such a fan of this album, were you surprised that it's gotten so under the radar all these years?
It's kind of weird to me. It's never been under my radar. It's always been on my radar. So
yeah. That's what I mean.
So, we'll play Strange Kind of Woman live, and people love that.
Yeah.
Even if they haven't heard it before, it's just there's something about that song. We open with Fireball.
Okay.
And so it's kind of we rock it up a little bit, so it's not exactly to the what they did.
Yeah.
And we do Demon's Eye too, which is a deep cut. So those are our two deep cuts really of the Fireball song, and then Demon's Eye, but those are great songs for us, and people seem to enjoy it when we do them.
And I was curious if you could share with us, a story of how you first became a Deep Purple fan yourself.
I guess when I was a little kid in the 70s, I heard Machine Head, and I thought it was really cool. And it didn't really hit me until later on in the 80s when they came out with Perfect Strangers. And I realized that these old guys could hang with all the new guys that were coming out. And like a lot of the guys in the band, we kind of said, oh man, I remember Deep Purple. We went back and kind of rediscovered how good they were in the past, because they were kind of dead for quite a while, especially with the Mark II lineup. So I think that's kind of how it all happened. Was
Okay. And let me ask you, being the guitar player, you are no doubt a Ritchie Blackmore fan, but
Yep.
how big of an influence was he on your playing, as far as your guitar playing? Because, to me, he's one of the ultimate, riff masters, if you know what I mean.
You're 100%, yep. And he really was one of the neoclassical founders, and, I was hugely influenced by him. My other guy would be Jake Lee, and we've got Michael Beck in the band, who is Jake's singer. He just got off the road with Jake a few months ago.
Yeah, I was gonna. I was reading that on your Facebook page, which I didn't really realize until just literally over an hour ago when I was returning home from work. I got on your Facebook page and was reading a little on the background of a band. Do you happen to know how he got the gig with Jake? Because I know it was just for a couple shows, but was there ever any concern?
He's friends with Greg Chasen.
Oh, okay.
And Greg's probably Jake's best friend, and all that whole thing. Mike's even without that, Mike's a great singer and a great frontman, and we're happy to have him. I'm glad he's part of the band. And
let me ask you, when he did those shows with Red Dragon Cartel, did you guys know from a get-go that they were just it was going to just be for a temporary gig, or was there ever any concern that you might have to get a new singer for Fireball?
Well, I talked to Michael. I've known him for a couple of years, and I talked to him after he got done with Jake, so I don't really know what was going on with that. But he was done with Jake at the time, and I said, "Hey, I've got this tribute, Deep Purple tribute going on." He said, "Yeah, I want in. I want the shot." So
okay.
Wow. As soon as he said I wanted in, then he was in.
And let me ask you on that note. So, Fireball, you guys are a relatively new band, I take it?
Yes.
Have you played the first show?
About 4 months. We've got two pretty good shows under our belt.
Okay.
Things are booked through the end of the year, and so things are looking really well.
And as far as the set list, I imagine you do a lot of the classic, Ian Gill and Purple stuff material. But do you guys try to do stuff from throughout the band's entire career, or do you just stick with like the Ian Gillan years?
I think for the most part we stick mainly with Mark II lineup. It's just the classic, the best of almost any lineup you can think of.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of the old stuff, of course, Highway Star and stuff like that. There were two songs I couldn't overlook, though. I love David Coverdale to death.
Yeah.
So we do Burn and we do Stormbringer, too, from the Mark III.
Yeah, and I got to ask you, because I'm a bit of a Coverdale fan myself, and, interestingly enough, like a lot of people, I first became a, David Coverdale fan through Whitesnake, obviously, like a lot of people in the 80s, and then lo and behold, I found out, oh, wait a minute, he played on these, Deep Purple albums. Now, Burn, I think, is probably the best thing they did with Coverdale. I got to ask if you've had a chance to hear the latest Whitesnake album, the Purple album, where they go back and do a lot of the Purple material that he recorded with the band.
Yeah, he originally tried to get it back together with Richie, and that didn't work out or whatever. He said, John Lord had passed, and he kind of made a pact with John Lord, hey, we're going to get this material back together. And it's great stuff. I think he did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
I'll still listen to the classic. Put the old classic album on because that was just the bomb. But I think they did a really good job. And Joe Hoekstra, the new guitarist, is just a burner. So it really surprised me how good those guitarists were. I've always known Rev's a great guitarist, but Joe Hoekstra just really impressed me.
Well, to me, the great thing about Whitesnake now is, like you said, I've known for years, what a great guitar player, like a lot of people, like Rev Beach is, but because of the fact that he was in Winger, there are a lot of people kind of overlooked what he did, and when he's in a band like Whitesnake, I think he gets a little more exposure, and people can see a little more what he's capable of doing.
Right, exactly, yeah. I mean, there's some things where they're doing a lot of crazy bisexuals, and there's some stuff that I don't think really goes that well with the playing, because Richie was primarily a blues guitarist.
Yeah.
They just did some neoclassical stuff or whatever, so I try to not, I've been shredding all my life, and I try to pull back and just play, it still pops out occasionally, but I still try and play Richie style, which is, hey, one or two notes versus 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was about. That's what the music was built on, was kind of blues and everything. So I've got to actually think and pull back. But it's a lot easier, and it moves me a little bit more to play old bluesy stuff versus Mount Seedless.
Yeah, and then interesting thing, getting back to the Whitesnake album for a minute, their Purple album, I never realized until I heard the Whitesnake version, like how great of a song Stormbringer really was. I mean, I think Whitesnake really rocked it up, and it did a really decent job with that. So anybody who gets a chance to hear that Purple album, I think it's really worth a listen, because there are some songs that they kind of modernize and stuff, but overall it's a great package, because even you listen to a song like Holy Man, which I never really heard before the Whitesnake album came out, and I went back and heard the original. I thought, wow, what a great song this is,
Yeah, just the more you listen to it, it's one of those things where, the more you listen to something, you realize how good it is. Isn't it like when I get older, I appreciate the older stuff like The Who and Pink Floyd and stuff. When I was younger, I just wanted to hear a lot of heavy guitars and crazy solos and everything else. And as you get older, you kind of develop taste.
Yeah.
So you kind of go back and go, wow, this is so much better. And I can appreciate it now at a different level because of going through everything and being older. And so that stuff just pops now where it didn't used to, I guess.
Yeah, and let me ask you your opinion on, the current Deep Purple lineup, because, as great of a guitar player as Steve Morse might be, I kind of feel myself, like a lot of people, probably like you too, that, as great of a guitar player as Steve Morse is, it's very hard to, get past what Richie did. There's something to be said that, as great as the band is at what they do today, I would just love it if they could, if him and Ian Gillan could patch up their differences and get back together.
That would be great, and that's like a total fantasy of mine, but I've given up on it. I've heard too many negative things between the two, and I've met Ian Gillan a few different times, and he's like the nicest, neatest guy in the world. So just funny, and so not that I'm siding with him in the argument or anything, but And as far as the whole Morse, he's such a different guitarist. They didn't find anybody even closely related in style. I like Steve's playing, but he's not Richie Blackmore. I guess I've seen the guys together playing a bunch, and I've never seen Blackmore, but I've seen Steve Morrison. I think he's a great player, and he does a fine job in the band. Yeah. But he's not. I guess the bottom line is he's not Richie Blackmore, and he doesn't try to be, and I wouldn't try to be either. But
see, I think that's one thing I got to give him credit for. He's very smart, and that he didn't come in there trying to prove he was better than Richie Blackmore or anything like that. He just does what he does, if you know what I mean, and he plays the songs, I guess, best he can. And
completely. And like I said, he's a great guitarist in his own right. He picks a lot of notes. He doesn't do a lot of legato stuff. Hammers and pulls and stuff like that. And when Richie was just all hammers and pulls and bluesy stuff, and just totally different. But he had to do it that route. He couldn't try and play his licks because people wouldn't have bought that even more.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because actually before they got Steve Morse, I know when Richie first left, they got Joe Satriani, and they'd offered him the gig, and I got to give the guy credit too because he was very smart. I've heard him talk about many times over the years, and he's like, I was not going to be the guy that replaced Richie Blackmore.
Exactly.
And Joe's got enough of a.
Joe Satriani did a year with them.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear a whole lot of his stuff either, but he's like, that intimidated me totally because it's Richie Blackmore. So it's like I'm taking his place, and you can't replace him. So you just kind of forget about it and do your own thing. I think is kind of what he said. Yeah, and let me ask, because I did my own thing, man. Just have to think about it.
Because I got to ask you, Paul. Me myself, I mean, I'm pretty much a fan of anything Richie does. I mean, I just think the guy's, the ultimate guitar cut. But I got to be honest here. For a couple of years, I was ignorant in the fact that I heard he was doing this neoclassical stuff, and like a lot of people, I just wasn't interested in giving it a listen. But I got to be honest with you. I also write for an online magazine, and his publicist had sent me the last CD that his band Blackmore's Night put out, which is a project he does with his wife Candace. And I thought, just to be fair, since I'm a Richie fan, I want to check this out and see what it's like. And I in all honesty, it sounds nothing like people are expecting it to sound like Rainbow or Deep Purple. It doesn't. But I was pleasantly surprised. I gave it a fair listen. I thought, you know what, I could. I think I'd be worth checking out some of the other albums they've done. This isn't quite as bad as what I thought it was. So
right, yeah. I'm actually a Blackmore Night fan. I've got some of their albums, and I've got the live CDs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it seems like Richie, whatever he touches, kind of turns to gold. He's just one of those guys. Mm-hmm. And he's a lot like Ozzy, where his big thing is he finds the right talent around him. Yeah. He loads the box with John Lord and all these great singers and everything else. And I love the stuff. He's done pop, he's done rock, he's done metal, he's done now this. Why not, right? Yeah. But it seems to make him happy, because I don't know if a lot of the years with Purple he was really happy. Yeah. And it seems now with the music he's doing now, especially when he's 70 years old, he seems happy now. Happy, which is cool.
And you got to give the guy credit for that, because a lot of people. I mean, he doesn't really have to be in it for the money, obviously, anymore. He's made a decent living, I would assume, doing what he's done all these years. And even if you just assume that he's living off the royalty of all these Rainbow and Purple songs and stuff. But I respect the guy that he could still be in Deep Purple, But I guess him and Ian Gillan hate each other so much to the point that they would rather not play together. And like you said, be happy doing what they're doing. Separately, and you got to give the guy respect, because no matter what, if you're talking Rainbow or Purple or whatever, Richie's been one of these guys that kind of, and he was in the position, I guess, at the time to be like this, but, he did what he wanted to do. He did it his way. Nobody told him what to do, and a lot of people are like, he could still be doing Purple, but I don't think, because of his relationship with Ian Gillan, I don't think he'd be happy doing that, and that's why he's off doing Blackmore's Night. But have you heard anything about that he's going to be doing like these 4 rock shows in Europe next year?
A little bit. I think from Joe Lantera. Joe Lantera thought he was going to be involved with it.
Yeah.
And then I guess they told him he was not going to be involved with it, which kind of bummed me out, because I love the Rainbow lineup and I'm a big Joe Lantera fan. Yeah. And then Richie came out, I guess, just recently and said, well, if we do anything, it'll be just some small castle tours or do whatever he's doing now. So I would pay any amount of money to go to a Rainbow reunion.
Yeah.
Especially like back in the day, I was rooting for the Ronnie Dio.
Yeah.
You know, those guys get together again, and that didn't happen. And I don't think Dylan Turner is going to get back in the band. But and the thing about Richie, he's always done what he's wanted to do, and he didn't. I don't think he ever cared whether or not he was successful.
Yeah, yeah.
But it seems like everything he did worked.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, whatever he tried, it's just people loved it. So he didn't care. I just don't think he cares, which is cool.
Yeah, yeah.
To a degree. When you've got millions of dollars, I guess you don't have to care.
Yeah, yeah. And being the Richie fan that you must be, I was curious. Have you heard? I think it's coming out. I heard November 3rd. But it's this great Richie Blackmore documentary coming out. It's like this CDD. It's like a DVD and CD. A lot of stuff he's done over a year. I think it's like an actual film about his life called The Richie Blackmore Story. And I heard you're supposed to be able to get it like on Amazon and all the big online stores and stuff. Is that something you think you'd be worth checking out?
I'll own it if it comes out.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Yeah. Is it authorized? You know, or not?
From what I heard, I mean, I have to get back to you on that. From what I've heard, it's something that he's kind of been involved with, or authorized in the sense that it's going to be a release on an official, I think on a Main Street label. The last thing I heard was November 3rd, but I haven't really seen any recent advertising for it. But if I hear any more, I'll definitely send you the link to check out, at least to order it. Something I definitely want to check out because
anything with Richie, I'll check it out because everybody else you kind of know a little bit about the band, but with Richie he was really that quiet. And even the interviews that they used to give, Richie was never present. He wouldn't show up for them.
Yeah.
So you knew even less about Richie because he never showed up for the media.
Yeah.
So if it comes out, I'll have it.
And just as a Deep Purple fan, Richie fan myself, I don't know if you've ever had a chance to check out. They've got a CD, and I think you can even get a DVD copy of when they played Cal Jam 2, and Richie kind of had a little fit on stage, and he was hitting the camera with his guitar, ABC camera with his guitar. But man, it was just that was with Coverdale, I think, and Glenn Hughes. But it was just such a great live concert. You can hear it. I got the CD, so I could maybe tell.
Cool. Yeah, well, I've seen snippets of it on YouTube.
Yeah.
For I think it was 74 Cal Jam, right?
Yeah. Well, getting back to Fireball, a Deep Purple experience. I was curious because I imagine, Paul, that you're a guy that's done the original band thing for a couple of years. So talk with us. How did you get the idea that okay, I'm going to give it a shot at doing a Deep Purple tribute band?
It was pretty basic, to be honest with you. I've been playing in cover bands and filling in and stuff like that for most of my life, and I just another band I was in that had broken up, and I had buddies that had played in AC/DC bands and Led Zeppelin bands and stuff like that, and they were like, why don't you start something up? And so I kind of sat down and I said, all right, so I'm going to do a tribute band now, and the only thing that made sense for me, because my favorite band in the world was Deep Purple, and I look around and there's there's Tool tributes and which I couldn't tell you one song from Tool if you paid me money, but there's Zeppelin bands and all these other bands out there making money and having fun playing the music they want to play, and so I just got some guys together. I knew enough guys and got 4 other guys, including Michael, and away we were going. The most important thing was that everyone loved the music. So when they would come in, I would say, okay, tell me why. Why do you want to do it? What are the songs? What do you want to do? I just don't need players for a tribute band. You need guys that love the music. You just can't hire guys off the street because the passion's not there. And so that was like the number one question is why you want to do it and what songs do you want to do? Give me a set list. And the guys that couldn't tell me what they wanted to do, I knew this isn't going to work.
Yeah, and from what I understand, there's quite a nice little tribute scene there in Pheonix, Arizona, where you're from. Are there a lot of other Deep Purple tributes in the Arizona area where you guys are from?
Luckily, to be honest with you, no.
And
we're in right now. Like I said, there's a couple Zeppelins, a couple Van Halen's, a couple of everything. It seems Aerosmith, you name it, which is cool. That it's kind of the old classic rock that seems to be working for tribute bands.
That is so.
There was nothing for Purple.
That is so cool because a lot of times, in my experience, when you're in a tribute band, you got to have a little niche. And I think the fact, at least at this point, you're the only purple, tribute out there in the Arizona area, is going to work for you. And then the fact that the band is named Fireball. Again, typically these tribute bands, they'll name themselves after a song or a very popular album by the band, and a lot of people might think, oh, Fireball, that was a very popular album. Okay, well, or they might even relate to the point of, oh, hey, I love that, I always loved Fireball, that song. I gotta check this band out. So you guys got that working for you, because even here in Los Angeles, where I'm from, like you said, there's half a dozen Led Zeppelin tributes, half a dozen AC/DC tributes, and you take like some of the AC/DC tributes, a lot of them are really good, but then a lot of the bands, you either get a guy that just does Brian Johnson stuff or a guy that just does Bon Scott stuff. There's very few that can cover both areas of a band. So, again, even talk about an AC/DC tribute, you have to have, to me, you have to have something a little special to offer. I mean, I interviewed this one guy, I think it was in Florida. He has an AC/DC tribute, and what he eventually did is he'd have one singer come out for the first half of a show, and do Bon Scott. I mean, then he'd go off stage, and then for the second half of their show, they'd have a guy come out and do Brian Johnson. And again, to me, that would be a cool thing to see, because you're getting kind of a little tribute.
Yeah, I agree totally. I agree totally. They're two completely different singers. I'm a big Bon Scott fan. I love Brian Johnson. I think he did a great job, but I love all Bon. Anything Bon did was great for me. But yeah, that's kind of a cool angle. And, trying to get in, if there were more purple bands here, I maybe would have thought twice about it. It's like, what do I bring to the table that's not already out there?
And see, it's kind of
lucky for us, because it was us. The field is open, and we own it right now. And so, if anybody wants to come along, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But we just have to keep getting better and better, and the purple go-to.
And well, see, that's the thing that you too will have going for you. The fact is, even if another 2 or 3 purple bands, get together and form, at least in that Arizona area, Phoenix, where you guys are from, you're the so-called originators, if you know what I mean. You were the first purple band, so whoever comes after you, they've kind of got to follow your lead, if you know what I mean.
Right. We were the original copiers, I guess, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. But, I got to share with you, Paul, the reason I started interviewing guys like you that playing these tribute bands is I've been to several these tribute band shows myself, and I enjoyed it immensely. I cannot really think of one bad one I've seen. I'm sure they do exist out there, but I look at this as like rock and roll theater, where a lot of the bands, they will dress apart, they will look as much, they will sound as much as they possibly can, and in your case, being a Deep Purple tribute, you may take somebody back to the first time they heard Deep Purple on the radio, first time they went to a Deep Purple concert, if the band is that good. And I've seen shows like that, and so it's just an amazing thing that a tribute band can do if they've got the talent, And you guys must get that at your shows. People come, oh man, you took me back the very first time I heard a woman from Tokyo on the radio or something like that.
Oh yeah. You guys nailed that. You guys nailed that perfectly. I remember, and a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
We hear a lot of the '84 Perfect Strangers album. A lot of people say that because we do. We got 2 cuts off that, obviously, Perfect Strangers and Not Reach Back On. And people just say, took me right back. It brought me right back to where it was.
Yeah.
So I love hearing that, because Deep Purple are, they're great musicians, and so, we're careful what we do, because we don't want to screw up something that's so amazing. We could have picked a million different bands that weren't as technically hard to copy.
Yeah.
Because once we got inside Burn, I got put on the list. I said, look, everybody have it together. And then we came back together, we're like, holy smokes, are you serious, dude?
Yeah.
Just because Burn is an epic song, and still we've got to concentrate and that, we go over that twice as much in practice and rehearsal that we normally do, because it's just that much of an epic song. There's so many changes and stuff like that. So
we
love to hear that. We love to hear that, man. You nailed that, because they're telling me I just nailed Deep Purple.
Yeah, and
that means a lot to me.
Yeah, and getting back to the other reason I started interviewing guys like you and playing the tribute bands is, as much as I enjoy going to these shows, there's this huge misconception out there. I don't know if you've experienced this yourself. A lot of people will say like, musicians that playing tribute bands, they're failed musicians, they couldn't make it doing their own thing. And I've been enough to be of these tribute shows to see firsthand all the hard work that goes in to putting together like a tribute show like what you do with Fireball, Deep Purple experience. Because, I mean, first of all, you're talking to a guy, Paul, who's not even a musician. I could even strum a guitar if I try. I can't play a musical note. Is my point.
It's not that hard.
But my point is, so anybody that can get up on a stage and copy what Richie Blackmore does, I got to tip my hat to them. So that takes right there a certain level of talent, and then to be able to go back in time and kind of capture what the band did, because I mean, while I know I'm talking to you, I'm looking at your Facebook page, and you don't look dead on like Richie Blackmore or nothing, but
no.
you wear the costumes, you wear like stage clothing that would have been from that period. You have a hat. I've seen some of the photos. You have a hat like what he used to wear. So you're trying to go back as much as you possibly can. Trying to recreate that feeling for people come to your show, and think. Even Purple's a great band to do to me, because even though they're still touring and releasing new music, Deep Purple doesn't even play in the U.S. that all that much like they used to. So when Deep Purple finally does come to town, not everybody can afford a $100 ticket or even a $50 ticket. So come to see a band like Fireball might be the next best thing.
Right. Yeah, I think our last show was a $10 to get in. Some of the shows, like we're doing the Blues Bar here in December, and that's a $5.
Yeah.
A $5 cover to get in, which is what the cost of a drink to go see a band that is going to give you that vibe of Purple and nail the music. So, for an hour and a half, 2 hours or whatever. And so that's a good deal. In my book, that's a pretty good deal, because you're right, Purple tickets are crazy. And Purple is rarely in the United States. A lot of people don't realize that they're touring constantly
in Europe.
They don't take a lot of breaks, but they're constantly in Europe and England and Japan and all over the place. They're probably too busy to come here. And I don't think we appreciate, like they do in Europe, just the old school music.
Yeah, and let me ask you, because you're telling me that you play a lot of the classic Purple material up to Perfect Strangers, which was, I think, 1984. Now, they've released a couple new things. The latest thing would be the Now What album. Have you guys toyed with the idea of trying to play any of that material live?
A little bit, to be honest with you. We're always kicking ideas around and stuff like that. But and we're at the stage now where we're looking for a few more fill-ins here and there for songs. We've kicked around the ideas, but the music is just so much different than, you add a different keyboardist in and you add a different guitarist. You still have the three main engines in there, but it's just so different, you know what I mean? And if we're trying to capture the classic vibe, the classic rock, a lot of the new stuff just isn't going to fit. Even if it is good, a lot of it's great. It's just not going to fit with that vibe.
Yeah, and Deep Purple is always one of those bands I point to, because, I mean, again, we're talking about a band here that's, in one form or another been doing it for over 50 years now. And so that alone, you got to give them their props, if you know what I mean. And the thing to me, too, is, when people say, keyboards suck and keyboards don't belong in rock music, I dare anybody to listen to, what John Lord did. I mean, he's the ultimate king of the keyboards, if you know what I mean.
I think so. I agree. There's a lot of great guys. Kansas is one of my favorites too. And you can't have a Kansas band, or you can't nail Deep Purple without having a killer keyboardist. I mean, we've got a guy named Brian Dooley on keyboards, and he's just amazing. So without him, we would need a new keyboardist. We couldn't go on without a keyboardist because and Richie really relied on John Lord to be there and back him. So when he wasn't in the mood to play a lot, he could just noodle around and have fun while John was holding the chords down and everything else. So Richie could have an off night and you wouldn't tell, because John just was preeminent on the keyboards. Yeah.
I've heard stories where they would talk. The different band members would talk about how a lot of times John's keyboards would play off of Richie's riffs. Now that brings me to another exciting point, which is Deep Purple, as great as they are, on record, they're even better live, because what I always loved about the Deep Purple experience, I mean, even if you go on YouTube, like you're talking about, Paul, and you check out some of their classic concert footage, one thing I always loved is like it was just the ultimate jam session. I mean, they could take like a little 5-minute song and jam it out for like 15 even 20 minutes.
Yeah, and half the time it was amazing. The other half the time it kind of drag on a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's another really cool part of the band, is that there's improvisational, which is kind of required.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to a Purple show, if you really know Deep Purple, there's improvisational situations that you need to have a Deep Purple show. So we try to incorporate that too. We're good enough musicians. We can play off each other and have little improvisational things too. So, which is cool for a musician because you don't have to play the same note every night.
Yeah, because again, and even
and have fun.
I would think that would be the case for the musicians in the band as well as the audience, because again, if I wanted to just hear Deep Purple on record, I'd go put on Machine Head or In Rock or something. But even when they come to see Fireball, a Deep Purple experience, they want to get a little something different than what's on the record. Because again, if you want to just listen to the record, go home and put on the record.
Exactly. Yeah, we do extended intros. We'll do different live endings that they do, and improvisational stuff, because that's what we're all fans, and that's what we want to hear too. We want to hear extended. We want some stories from Michael. We want to hear, because Ian live is funny and he cracks jokes and he, has different stuff going on. So we can't just go, okay, here's this song, boom, here's this song, boom. Because number one, we wouldn't want to see it. And if we wouldn't want to see it, why would we want to play that? So we worked hard at our intros, extended intros and endings and everything else.
Yeah, and a cool
we give them that. We give them that.
And a cool thing to me about doing like a Deep Purple, tribute show would be like what you're doing with Fireball is, initially let's say Richie Blackmore is the guy that inspired you. You were at one time the guy in the audience, so to speak, and here's your guitar god that inspired you to pick up the guitar, and now you're up on stage with your own band playing the same songs that inspired you. That's got to be the ultimate feeling.
It really is. Yeah, 100%. That's what I want to do for a tribute band, and it's really cool. The only thing is, I wish I would have written the songs. I guess is the only thing that I wish that was different was I was the guy that wrote them.
Oh yeah.
Aside from that, it's the same thing. I get the same kind of fans, and we get the same feeling and everything else. But I guess at the back of your mind, it's like, I wish Richie Blackmore. I wish I wrote this.
Oh
song,
yeah.
But that's about it. Other than that, it's the same thing. And when I first got the band together, I was thinking, okay, the tribute band to me should exist because either there's a lack of it or the band doesn't go on or whatever. There should be a reason. And like we're talking about, Deep Purple tours in Europe, they're hardly ever here. And like you said, it's ridiculously priced when they do come to town.
Yeah.
So I said, there's a need for this band, like to put a just tribute band, just still tours.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bands, and I don't take it away from anybody, but it's like if there's a need, if your band's coming around a lot, then there's not a need for me. But if you never see the band, or if they don't exist anymore, like Bon Scott tribute band, that's great because Bon's not here anymore. So, I mean, I would go see that in a second. At Bon Scott tribute, because I can't ever see it again.
Yeah. And I mean, they got this one in Los Angeles called. You can even look them up on Facebook or. Called Bonfire. They're like the ultimate Bon Scott tribute I've ever seen. I mean, this guy.
I think I saw him on TV last year.
Oh yeah. That's the band. That's the band.
The tribute band or whatever that was on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were good. They were great.
Yeah, but they're the ultimate tribute now. Now, once you had your band and your bandmates in place, these are all guys that you know. I mean. How long did it take you guys to kind of like get into rehearsal mode and realize, okay, we got this pretty much down where we can talk about doing our first show?
Well, we know a lot of people. Me and Michael and a lot of the guys know a lot of people that we just kind of put feelers out when we first got together, and they were saying, as soon as it's ready, let's do it. So we had things kind of waiting for us. We practiced twice a week. Got it up and running. I provided a set list for everyone, and we just jumped right on it. So we streamlined it pretty quickly. Most tribute bands are going to take a lot longer to get together, but I kind of had the structure all together. And my wife does concert promoting here in town and does graphics and stuff like that. So I had someone that could do our media and that could make our banners and stuff like that. So for us, we got really lucky.
Wow. How cool.
It all kind of fell into place really quickly, and now the phone's ringing off the hook, for the first couple of shows with the reviews and all the photos and video and pictures and everything else. So the phone's ringing more than I thought it would.
Wow.
I'm not complaining.
That's a good thing because a lot of again, once I started interviewing and researching a lot of these tribute bands, I was just amazed myself to learn, the kind of success somebody could have doing the tribute thing. I mean. a lot of people, like I said, just look at it as cover bands, but it's more than a cover band, like what you're saying, and it's amazing that you might have a lot easier time getting a tribute band off the ground than you would if you were doing your own original music. As sad as it is to say, because it might take you 6 or 7 years to even have your first hit single if you're doing your own original music thing. Whereas the cool thing about this is you kind of got a built-in audience. People are going to come to see a Fireball, a Deep Purple experience, and they're going to, we're going to get a Deep Purple show here. We're going to play Deep Purple songs. Everybody's almost got it. It's almost guaranteed.
It's so much easier, to be honest with you, because, like you said, you have a built-in fan base of the music already.
Yeah.
And then, if I was younger, if I was in my 20s and I had time, I could try and do my originals and make it big and all that stuff. But most of us are in our 40s and early 50s, and we kind of put that to rest.
Mm-hmm.
It's the odds of making it in your own original stuff. And I've got friends that still try and break through on the originals, and it just seems like the money's not there. It just seems like more of a hassle. And
mm-hmm.
this has been like streamlined and easy, and I don't have to think about what song I'm going to play. I don't have to think about my wardrobe. I don't have to think about the stage show because it's right there.
Yeah.
It's already done. It's already done for us. It's already been thought out.
Yeah, the cool thing too about this is again, I mean, there's just so many Deep Purple fans. I mean, around the world, and the thing of it is like if I was in Arizona and your band was playing, I'd come and check out the show just because. Okay, let me go see what this band's about. I'm a Purple fan. I want to see what do they really have their chops? And I mean, like I said, coming to a Fireball show, I can almost guarantee you're going to play a song like "Smoke on the Water" or something. Every night. So. Now, are you surprised? Now, talk a little bit about that song, because I've heard, like a lot of people over the years that's probably one of the first songs like a rock guitar player typically learns. I mean, talk a little bit about when you heard that song for the first time. What were your initial thoughts on it?
Well, it was like nothing you've ever heard before.
Yeah.
It's just so hooky and so cool. And I've always played, even as a little kid, I played Fender Strats, and there's just a sound that comes out of Fender Strat that doesn't come out of any other guitar. So that's all I touch anymore. That and Silly to Heaven, obviously, are the two that you kind of pick up on, just picking in that, and that's just straight ahead chord stuff. So, but yeah, just it's one of those few songs that sends a shiver up your spine. That's like, whoa, what is this? Yeah,
as great as the guitar riff is, too, I think the other interesting thing about the song itself, if you know anything about the history of it, is if you listen to the lyrics, it's actually telling a story. When they were recording it, and they played this casino next door to where they were recording, and there was a famous fire where the hotel burned down or whatever where they were staying, and it's interesting if you just really listen to the words, that's based on a true story.
Exactly. I've heard Ian tell that story, and I've heard everybody's take on what happened and everything. But yeah, it's really cool that they didn't have to think of the words; they were just there,
telling it like it was. Yeah.
I guess Roger woke up one night and he was dreaming Smoke on the Water. He just woke up and said Smoke on the Water, and then Ian just kind of told the story, and the best songs just fall together.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with some chording or the words or whatever, it's probably not meant to be.
Yeah.
So what I've heard from the most amazing songs, including Smoke on the Water, is that it just wrote itself.
Yeah.
It's like we got help from the other side or something, because it just wrote itself and came together in 10 minutes, and that seems to be Smoke on the Water is one of those songs where it just fell together, and it's one of the greatest songs. The Who says this? Pete Townsend said the same thing. Anything that writes itself is great stuff. Anything I work at just never goes anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's just one of those songs.
Yeah, let me ask you, as far as doing Deep Purple, is there one song in particular, or even a couple, that really, challenge your playing, if you know what I mean, or it's very difficult to learn for you?
Yeah, Burn.
Burn.
Oh, I'll say that. You could ask everyone in the band, what's the one song? Burn. Everyone will say Burn. Everything else is pretty straightforward. There's a few chords that I had to really work at. There's a chord in Stormbringer, and little stuff like that. I was like, oh my gosh, what's this chord?
Yeah.
But our thing is just because of the sheer epicness of Burn, with the dynamics and the stuff going on with that. There's like an 7-8 minute song or whatever.
Yeah.
It's even longer live with intros and exits and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
we'll always be the pain of us learning songs or whatever. But now that we have it, everything else is a cinch.
Wow.
What else we can add?
Wow. And so let me ask you, like, you're obviously just a couple of shows into putting a band together, and so you say you're getting tons of offers. Have you had to turn any down yet? I mean, I guess what I'm trying to ask is the plan to kind of just stay pretty local, like in the Arizona area, or do you guys, like a lot of these tribute bands, hope to take it to other states and stuff?
Yeah, we would hope to get as big as possible. I think the offers that we've turned down are lowballs. So, and other bands would jump at lowballs. We have a minimum, that we want to, that we'll take to do the show because, like you said, you understand that it takes rehearsal and strings and guitar setups and new tubes and drum heads and gas, and you get to the venue and you do sound check early, which is 6 in the afternoon, and you get home at 3 in the morning after playing for just 2 hours or whatever. So if you understand what really goes into it, it's hard to take a low ball. So we'll be flexible with our pay or whatever. And that's not just what it's about. But if we're going to spend our entire day working our butts off, having fun too, there's got to be payback for it. And the bars are making tons of money. Off the booze and people are bringing. So it's not like we're not helping out.
Oh yeah. I mean, the saddest story I can tell you in relation to that is out here in Los Angeles, where I'm from. A lot of these clubs, like on the Sunset Strip, they have what's called pay to play, and that's pretty much where the band's got a guarantee. What they do is typically they'll give a band, okay, here's $200-300 dollars worth of tickets. Give them out to all your friends. I guarantee you can pack the house. And if we have a packed house, you get to come back and play. If not, thanks for one show. We don't want to see you again. And it's a very sad business practice out here, but it still goes on.
It really is. Yeah, and I lived in LA with a band I was in back in '88, and they were kind of switching at that time. I heard something about pay to play, and I was like, what does that mean? And the clubs have different ideas. There's some that kind of do that we stay away from. There's like some of the other ones are $5 at the door, which like I said, that's the cost of the drink. If you get 400 people in there, that's $2,000. You know what I mean? So if you can bring people to the door, and the club does promotion too, and that's a great situation. I don't mind asking $5 at the door. If I can put the bodies there, then the band makes out too. So if there's 400 people, so does the club. They're going to be one big.
And I've seen other examples where, like you said, there's this place, this little tiny intimate club, like 5 minutes away from where I live, and they have a tribute night almost every Saturday night where you can go and see like at least 3 or 4 tribute bands on the same bill for like $10 at the door, and for an evening of live entertainment, you can't beat that, and even though it might not hold like a place like a Whiskey A Go-Go hold, people are going to that place every Saturday practically, and it's a nice little they're getting a little something every single weekend. So, and the audience gets a nice little show of like 3 or 4 different bands every Saturday. So, I think there are great places like that where it works for the clubs and the bands and even the promoters and the bands I've seen where they're all friends and okay, we'll support you, and that's the one thing I love about the tribute scene. I don't know if you've experienced that yet, but a lot of the tribute bands, the tribute scene is really almost like a fraternity where the bands try to help one another. Like, we need an opening band on our on our show next week, and would you like to come and open for us? And I've seen.
It's a brotherhood. If you look at my Facebook page, most of the people that are friends are all in different bands. We go back and forth, and we loan each other equipment, and we say, hey, this guy needs a band, we can't play it. Hey, can you open for us? Hey, you know what I mean? So we're pretty connected. All the bands in town, there's not a million of them, but we're all trying to be in it together. And the more fans, let's say somebody sees it that doesn't know they're going to be shows, goes, wait a minute, Deep Purple tribute, and we get them involved into the tribute scene. It's just better for everybody. We all take care of each other. I mean, I've opened for other bands that haven't give me $100 for the band or whatever. But if it's for the greater good, if it's going to help them bring people to the shows and increase my fan base for doing it, then it makes sense for us to do it. We love live anyway. It's what we do. So
before I let you go, Paul, but the last thing I kind of want to touch base on with you is the ultimate tribute story to me is the band Steel Panther. The lead singer, he goes now by the name of, I think, Michael Diamond, but for years he was this guy known as Ralph Sanaz. And Ralph was briefly, he's the guy that actually started the Atomic Punks out here, which is the ultimate Van Halen tribute. They were probably the first tribute out here. And after getting that going, he briefly joined LA Guns with Tracy Guns, the Ballad of Jane. It was all over MTV and stuff. And he actually left LA Guns to go back to doing the Van Halen tribute for a while because he was making more money doing the tribute scene than he was being the lead singer for LA Guns, which is just kind of amazing. And now, he's doing kind of a tribute thing still with Steel Panther. But and the funny thing is, while it's a tribute to the '80s, so to speak, they're writing and recording new original music, and he's kind of laughing all the way to the bank. So it's really a great way.
I actually saw them open for Judas Priest earlier this year.
I mean, can you believe that? Yeah.
It was really cool. It was all kind of tongue in cheek, and they tell jokes and they put hairspray on stage, and it's really cool. The fans loved them. The people loved them, and I thought it was a cool show because they weren't trying to take themselves too serious.
Yeah,
so I think Steel Panther did a great job. But if you're opening for Judas Priest, you've done something right.
Oh yeah. And the same band, the Atomic Punks. This is a Van Halen tribute we're talking about once again. I had a chance to interview the original guitar player Bart Walsh, and he shared with me the story that when he was at Atomic Punks, that David Lee Roth came down to a show, and he was so impressed with what this guy was doing in a Van Halen tribute that he invited him to come out and play guitar, on touring with him for like the last 2 or 3 years before he went back to Van Halen. And I'm like, wow, so David Lee Roth discovers you in a Van Halen tribute, and you get to go play in his solo band. How amazing is that?
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a cool story.
Yeah. Well, I've really enjoyed talking to you, Paul, and I could talk to you for hours, but I'm going to let you go, and the interview itself will probably be going up in about 2 to 3 weeks. I'll let you know the minute it does, and at that point, please tell all your friends, and feel free to post it anywhere you want to post it. But I would just like to say you really did a great interview, and you're really easy to talk to. So I'd kind of like for you to be one of my Deep Purple go-to guys. So I think what would be cool is once this interview posts, if we could maybe do a follow-up interview, and you're sharing with me that Fireball itself is one of your favorite Deep Purple albums. I think that would make for a cool conversation because, again, that's typically not one of the most favorite Deep Purple albums. I think that'd make for a great conversation.
Right. Well, like I said, my whole thing is they covered so many different areas.
Yeah.
And even though Ian says it was a horrible time for us, we weren't getting along, it was miserable. He said, but out of that came some great funky music.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the albums that I just put on in back to back.
Yeah.
Let it go. Just loop it.
Oh yeah. So again, just keep that in mind, and I'll let you know once the interview posts. But thanks so much for doing this. It's been great talking to you, and I'll be.
I had fun. Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Okay, take care, my friend. Thanks so much. Bye.